Hello, and welcome to this introduction to Muskegon County's new Property Information Viewer. I am Thomas Van Bruggen, Muskegon County GIS Administrator, and today I'd like to give you a brief tour through the functionality included in the new Property Information Viewer being released October of 2020. Let's go ahead and get started. When you first open the Property Information Viewer, you'll be greeted by this Terms and Conditions page that gives you information about the viewer and the details and accuracy within the viewer. Once you read through this introduction, go ahead and click the little box in the lower left corner that says you agree and click OK. And what you see will be then the introductory view of the Property Information Viewer. Starts with a basic view of Muskegon County, some streets, and a general overview. You'll also notice that it starts with a left panel called the Selected Features panel, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit. Let me run through the tools that are available. The leftmost tool up on toolbar is the legend. In that legend, it'll show you the different features of the map, and as you zoom in, additional layers will load and will also then be shown in the legend. Base map features that are really giving you the underlay of the map are not shown because they're part of that base map. So for example, this school symbol and the label there is not shown because it's just part of our base map. But as you zoom in, the dynamic legend updates. The second button is the layer list. In this layer list, you can turn on and off different layers by toggling the check mark next to each layer. Notice that these operational layers are set into groups. Some of these groups, for example, streets, have street centerline in what appears to be multiple times. That is because the street centerline displays differently based on your zoom scale. So the active layer will be in black. Inactive layers or layers that are not visible at the current scale will be in gray. So if I wanted to turn off street centerline at this layer, this level, I could toggle that off and you can see it turned off. We'll leave that on. And you also have a group for Property Viewer. And again, you can expand all of these and have independent control of the different layers and sublayers. I'd like to point out two additional sets of layers that are new to this viewer. The first one being the PLSS group of layers, or the Public Land Survey System. This group of layers gives you sections and quarter sections, as well as government lots, and they give you a label for that information as well. We'll turn that off to keep it simple. And then I'd like to note that we have the contours available. Contours are available across the county in 10 and 2 foot intervals, and then in some areas available in 1 foot contour intervals when you zoom in tightly to the map. You'll also notice there's a currently not visible layer called contours_L. That stands for contours live. The regular contours layer is designed for performance, but cuts out some of the detail. When you zoom very closely to a property, you'll need to turn on the contours_L or live. That will only allow you to turn on that layer when you're zoomed quite close in on a parcel, and you'll have to be patient because that layer takes quite a bit of time to load, and you can also see that it's trying to load by watching the spinning circle down in the lower corner. We'll give that a few seconds and it should start to load. But remember that this is a very large layer, and I suggest that you only use that when you're zoomed very close in to a given property. I gave it a few seconds and you can see now it has loaded, and we're getting our different contour intervals, which you can expand that out and see 10, 2, and even 1 foot contours in here as you zoom into certain areas. I'll turn those contour layers off for performance, and I'll take you to our next tool, which is our measurement tool. Measurement tool has 3 subtools in it. The first tool is to measure an area. So if I select the area, then I can choose my different units. I'll leave it as acres. And then I can just simply click once to start my drawing. You'll get a blue line. I can just stretch out my line how I need to. At each point I'm clicking once. And as I go up and then I get to my last point that I want to measure to, I'll just double click and it will give me a total of how many acres that area that I just drew in was. The next tool, the next tool is the line measurement tool. Again, I can choose which unit to display my measurement in. So I'll just choose feet in this case. And then I will simply single click to start. and I'll go down and I'll double click to end, and it tells me that's 951.3 feet. If I want to do a complex line, I can click once again, single click a second time, single left click again, and I'll come up and I'll end my line here and I'll double click. And when I double click, that locks in that drawing there and tells me my total line area, total line length was 3,349.7 feet in this case. Our last tool is the point tool, which when you use this tool and you go and click on the map somewhere, you'll get this little green pointer. At the base of that is the point, and that will give you your longitude and latitude readings for that point. So if you need to find out your longitude and latitude, you can get that as well. That is a quick tour of the measurement tool. The pop-up panel or selected feature information is exactly that. It gives you the detailed information of what's in the map. So if you're on this panel and you simply click on any parcel, you will see that you get some information about that parcel. Parcel number, address, owner, owner's address, property class and value information, some acreage information, as well as the description of the parcel. This is new in this version as well. The description previously on the previous viewer was only shown when you actually ran a parcel report. This information is all available to you right there, and you could simply select and copy that and use that if you needed to. Remember, this is a property tax description and is not necessarily the legal description of the property. This entire system is based off of the property tax systems. You can also get to selected feature information by doing a simple search. So I'll go up to our search box, and in this case, I'll show you the drop-down arrow. You can search by PIN number, by address, or by owner. If you leave it on all, it'll search all of those at once. So I'm just going to put in 990 and start typing terrace, T-E-R-R, but I'm going to pause. And as soon as it recognizes that I've paused, it will give me some suggestions that it's finding in its configured searches. 990 Terrace is the County Hall of Justice building on the corner of Terrace and Apple Avenue. As soon as I selected that and zoomed to it, you can see that it also gave me that information in the pop-up information panel. Again, I can click on that parcel, and sometimes what you'll want to do is click on it after you search for it, because the search layer and the active layer for parcels is not always the same layer. So if you're missing some information, but it gave you other information, you may want to just, again, click on that parcel and it'll give you the full information. The last button on the main menu bar is actually a More button, or an additional menu button. And if you click that, you can see additional tools that are available. There's a base map gallery. And in this base map gallery, you can choose from different aerial photography layers. So I'll show you 2019 aerial, but know that there's also 2014, 2008, and 2001. Then some world base maps that are provided by our software vendor are dark gray canvas, imagery with labels, light gray canvas, streets, streets at night, and topographic. But our main base map that we use is the Muskegon base map. The Muskegon base map gives you an outline of structures and provides a good backdrop for all of our base information. You can also use the simple Muskegon base map, which gives you a little bit of elevation look and feel, but it's really just a simplified, less detailed base map. So we'll stay with our Muskegon base map for now. Bookmarks allow you to jump quickly to a municipality within the county. So for example, if I wanted to jump to Blue Lake Township, I would just simply choose the Bookmarks tab and go to Blue Lake Township. And when I click that, it zoomed right to it. Let's in this case we'll choose City of Muskegon. Give it a moment and it will zoom back to the City of Muskegon boundaries. It's just a quick way to jump around if you need to. I'm going to jump a couple of tools and then come back to our printing and property reports. So I'm going to go down to the coordinate conversion tool. The coordinate conversion tool, in this case I'm zooming into some North Muskegon properties. If I click that tool, what it allows me to do is see a point with a little push pin, and it gives me the decimal degrees northing and westing in this case. But it then lets me see in different formats these same coordinates. So if I wanted universal transverse Mercator, or UTM, if I wanted longitude and latitude in the degrees, minutes, and seconds, if I wanted longitude and latitude in decimal degrees and minutes, or if I wanted it in just decimal degrees. Once I'm there, if I want a different point, I'll just clear that out and I will click anywhere on the map. And as soon as I do that, it will update those coordinates. I'll click again, give it a second or two, and you'll see those coordinates change. Now let me zoom out quite a ways and I'll choose a whole different spot and you'll see how those coordinates will change after a few seconds. Excuse me. So that is the coordinate conversion tool, helpful to some that need in different formats the coordinates. So I'm going to go back to our main pop-up panel tab and I'm going to choose a property. So we'll go back to our 990 Terrace Street and I'll select that. And I'll go ahead and click on that property. And I'm going to go to the menu and I'm going to choose our property report. If I choose the property report, it will give me a set of selection tools. It actually wants you to select the exact property or properties that you're wanting to do a report on. In this version of the viewer, you can select multiple properties, up to approximately 20 properties, to get a report at one time. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line across two properties. So I'll left click once, I'll draw my line. You'll see this time it's giving me a red dashed line. I'll double click at the end. Okay, it then says, do I want to buffer that? In this case I won't, but I could actually decide to buffer that, and I'll just run my report. Click report, and it says, oh, I recognize that you have two parcels that you were crossing, and here are those parcels. And I'll go ahead and run the report. So I'm going to click the print button. Now by default it already is chosen on the property viewer letter portrait report, which is your only choice. So I'll just simply hit print. And what I'm going to do is when I hit print, it's going to build my report. It quickly brought in the tabular information, and what it's working on is creating a map that shows the area that I was displaying on the map. So here's the Muskegon County Property Report. Would give you generated time, and then as you move down later in the table, it gives you a summary of the parcels, gives you parcel number, and the basic information of each one of those. Item number 1 in all of the tables will always correspond to itself. So as it's grouping the data, the first parcel is always identified as number 1, and the second parcel in this case is number 2. And if I want to print that, then I can simply hit print. Choose my printer. If I have a PDF driver printer, which are free, you can download. You can save it as a PDF, and then you could attach it or use it as you need. I'll go ahead and close that, and that is a simple look at the property report. The other tool that many people want to see is the print. But before I do a print, I want to show you one other tool. We do have docked over here a simple drawing tool. So right underneath the search box, I have a drawing tool. And in the draw tool, I can do all sorts of things like add additional points. And in that point, I can add different symbols. I can choose different shapes, colors, types of pins, things like that. I can draw lines, and I can choose different styles. I can choose a multi-point line where I click and drag, double click at the end. But I can also add text. So I can simply type the text tool, choose what color I want that in, what font size. I'll move it over and I'll click there and it puts that right in there. Okay. What's important to know about these drawing tools is that once you've added those, when you do a print, it will keep all of those records. Now, once you close the application and reopen, those will be gone, but they are there for the duration of your session or until you clear them. So now I'll show you the print functionality. So when I click the print button, again, I went to the menu to print, and then it opens up the print dialog. Map title by default is the Muskegon County Property Viewer print. I can change that to be what I want. The layout, you have a couple of different options, but the main one you want is either Property Viewer Portrait Map or Property Viewer Landscape Map. You can print with any of these, but there are different viewers for the public drain viewer, or a economic condition factor viewer, you're seeing the print templates for those right now, but you really want to use either the property viewer letter landscape or property viewer letter portrait. I'll choose the landscape map. I want to put that out as a PDF. If I click the advanced tool, I can choose whether it's preserving the map scale or the map extent, or I can force it to a specific scale. So if I say current, it's going to force it to 1 to 4,513. Maybe I want to make that 1 to 30,600, which is 1 inch equals 300 feet. Okay, some layout metadata information that's in the background, and then some information about scale bars, things like that. We'll go ahead and click the advanced to close that box, and we'll hit print, and you'll see that it's generating your print as a PDF. So as long as it's creating that print, this dialog will stay. And after a few moments, that should change over and we should be able to open our print. So we'll give that a few moments. There we go. My property map. It gives it a title just like I had, and I'll go ahead and mouse over that, and I'll click on that. Excuse me. And there is the property map that you just generated with the drawings and features on it. Very simple property map. So that map in conjunction with your property report would give you all the information that you need to have. So we'll close out of that window and we'll jump back over to our main window for our map. I'll point out a couple of other buttons. If you happen to be on a mobile device, the My Location, if you open up the application in a mobile environment, you can click the My Location button and it will go to where your GPS coordinates are at. I'm working on a desktop, so that's not going to work right now. When you first click that, it may ask for permissions to share your location, and you will have to accept those terms. You also have a back or previous extent button. So if I click that a couple of times, it will jump the map around. It also has a home button. If you want to zoom out back to the whole county, you can click the home button. And that really is the main tour of the new property information viewer. We do have an area where you can click in the upper right corner to report a map problem. That will take you to our contact information, where you can report if you're seeing something wrong with the map, and we encourage that feedback. We'd also like to know if you have any suggestions, comments, concerns, or functionalities that aren't working for you. And with that, I will wrap up our introduction to the Property Information Viewer. Thank you for using our tools, and we encourage you to contact us with any suggestions you may have. Thank you, and have a great day.